Hello and welcome everyone to this special episode dedicated to exploring the theme of biotechnology for gender equality. Throughout this episode, we will be delving into the intersection of biotechnology and gender equality. Our discussions will span challenges, but also successes and innovative solutions, all with the aim of envisioning a future where biotechnology serves as a catalyst for positive change. But first of all, I'll start by introducing my fellow panelists, starting with Dr. Sibongile Gombi, who is the founder and CEO of Smart Biotech from South Africa. She holds a PhD in pharmacology and certificates in finance, intellectual property, and technology management, as well as innovation management. She currently, um, she also has an MBA from IMT Switzerland, and she has held numerous posts in the area of technology and innovation management. She currently serves on the boards of Adcock Ingram and CPT Pharma. She chairs the governing council of Waterford Camlaba UWCSA and is a fellow of the 8th class of the African Leadership Initiative. Next up is Dr. Sarah Carroll. She's also from South Africa and is the co-founder and CEO at Mari Health Solutions, whose current technology offering stems from some of her PhD research. So Mari Health Solutions is leveraging proteomics and bioinformatics for offering the aquaculture industry granular biological insight into the health of farmed fish, such that farming practices and nutrition can be optimized to ensure improved animal welfare. She's passionate about sustainability and climate change research and believes that innovative biotech is key to tackling many of the challenges humanity faces in the next 25 years. And all the way from West Africa, Northwest Africa, is Dr. Alama El Mehdi, who is a trailblazing female leader making waves as CEO of Profamedis International. She's a medical doctor, armed also with an MBA, specializing in biotechnology and international business administration. She has a postgraduate diploma in health economics also. She embodies the fusion of medical expertise and business acumen. Driven by a passion for innovative healthcare solutions, she adeptly navigates the global biotechnology landscape while ensuring sustainable economic growth. And last but not least is my co-host, Dr. Shamim Fowler from Mauritius. She is currently serving as the Chief Scientific Officer of two companies, Axonova Pharma Limited and its spin-off Indica Pharma Limited. Shamim has a PhD in stem cell and cancer biology from the University of Westminster in the UK. And she worked previously as a postdoctoral researcher at Cancer UK before returning to Mauritius. And since returning to Mauritius, she has held several positions in research and development in Mauritius, where she also introduced and implemented novel research platforms in public research organizations. Thank you so much, ladies. Welcome to this special episode of the Dialogue with African Biotech Leaders.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we're going to kick off with a brief overview of our theme, biotechnology for gender equality, and I'll give it a little bit of a twist. Most of you who are moviegoers keeping up with what is currently showing in the cinemas must be aware of the latest trending movie, Barbie. And there is a highlight in that movie, which is a monologue um, delivered by Gloria, played by America Ferrera, on the impossible double standards of being a woman. So I'll read it as is, verbatim. It is literally impossible to be a woman. You are so beautiful and so smart, and it kills me that you don't think you are good enough. Like, we have to always be extraordinary, but somehow we are always doing it wrong. You have to be thin, but not too thin. And you can never say you want to be thin. You have to say you want to be healthy, but also you have to be thin. You have to have money, but you can't ask for money because that's crass. You have to be a boss, but you can't be mean. You have to lead, but you can't squash other people's ideas. You're supposed to love being a mother, but don't talk about your kids all the damn time. You have to be a career woman, but also always be looking out for other people. You have to answer for men's bad behavior, which is insane. But if you point that out, you are accused of complaining. You're supposed to stay pretty for men, but not so pretty that you tempt them too much or that you threaten other women because you're supposed to be a part of the sisterhood. But always stand out and always be grateful, but never forget that the system is rigged. So find a way to acknowledge that you also, but also always be grateful. You have to never get old, never be rude, never show off, never be selfish, never fall down, never fail, never show fear, never get out of line. It's too hard. It's too contradictory, and nobody gives you a medal or says thank you. And it turns out, in fact, that not only are you doing everything wrong, but also everything is your fault. I'm just so tired of watching myself and every single other woman tie herself into knots so that people will like us. And if all that is also true for a doll just representing women, then I don't even know. Right? Um, we could actually just close this episode now because we've said our
You nailed it.
but I'll let us, talk from the perspective of women in leadership, trying to fit all these stereotypes, and navigate all these, road mines and see where we get to by the end of this hour. So gender equality is not just a goal, it's a means to achieving a more equitable and prosperous society. It is about ensuring that everyone, regardless of their gender, has equal access to opportunities, resources, and recognition. By embracing gender equality, the biotech industry can lead by example, driving positive change within the sector and beyond. When women have equal opportunities in the biotech industry, it results innovation. It results in diverse innovation, better decision making, economic growth, and addressing global challenges. So in summary, that's what we are going to be talking about today. But before we get into the more serious side of things, I would like the ladies to take some time in the next 10 minutes or so to shine a spotlight on the remarkable achievements that they, as African women who are also biotech leaders, have accomplished thus far. So through their stories, we'll highlight their contributions to scientific advancements, business growth, and positive societal impact. Right. So I'm going to take time to ask around the panel if you can share a particular impactful achievement. I know from your CVs, there must be lots of stories like this, but just share one with us that you're particularly proud of and that you thought made quite an impact across your story, your career in your biotech journey. Can you think of one particular impactful achievement, and how did this achievement contribute to your personal growth and the advancement of the industry? So I'll start maybe with Dr. Gombi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Adrienne. And thank you for this opportunity to feature in this webinar. I think one of the things about biotech is the time it takes to get products to market. And one particular achievement, which is an important hurdle to have gotten over, is when we launched our first product, which is under the brand of Smart Herbals, a colon regulator. Just going through the process of bringing a product to market and actually launching it, there are huge lessons to be gained from that. The processes that you have to go through just in terms of getting a product ready for market, the product design, label design, et cetera, is phenomenal in terms of learnings. And then once it's on the market, you think, oh my gosh, everyone's just going to snap it up and you don't have to do anything. You know, it fulfills such an important need that everyone will see what the need is. And then you come to the aspect of marketing. You get a sales team and your sales team will tell you, oh no, we're not selling, we're not meeting targets because there's not enough being put into marketing. And your marketing budget is not that huge. So you have to look and you think, oh, social media, that's the perfect answer. You do social media marketing and you just see that, you look at the analytics and your scope of influence is not that as huge as you think it is. So there are lots of expectations that really very quickly get modified. And as you go, there's a lot of learning that we've achieved in the process. But I think just getting over the hurdle to say we have a product, this is the product, it is on sale, this is where we sell it. The rest is also a lot of learning as we go along, but at least the product is on the market, and the rest will come as you progress. Trying to increase sales, trying to find ways of penetrating the market and increasing the volumes, the sales in the market. So yes, I'll end there.
Really, congratulations on that achievement. Anyone who is in the biotech space can attest to the fact that getting a product to market is quite a remarkable achievement, especially within the health sector, which is for health application of biotech, which is quite seriously regulated and has a lot of other hurdles. So congratulations on that. Dr. Elmedi, share with us, please.
Thank you. Thank you. But I work on the same field. Really, it's not easy to launch a pharmaceutical product in market. Even in Africa market, in West Africa market, we have not local production. Then it's not easy with competitive. It's a market is very competitive, and I remember my biotech career. I started when I was 16. I was 16, and I had changed to work on many countries in West Africa, and I can confirm what Dr. was saying. It's a big change. It's a big change, and we have our countries are different. And when you have to reach your target, and you have to work with healthcare professional. And I had, if I try to talk about my success story, I will talk about my life story. It's amazing. It's amazing as a woman that I had not only a challenge as a woman. I had a challenge as a young lady, 16, 20, and I was still medical student at the same way. But yeah, I'm proud of me today, and I hope that I will bring more for my West African countries.
And yeah, she's actually very young. She still is.
Yeah, I'm still young. I'm nice.
I remember when we met, we made a joke about her age, being a CEO at that age. So very well done, lady. Haven't pursued this very challenging career path. We have to say it's challenging. But you know, pursuing that, doing medicine in your degree and going on to, you know, all the other accomplishments that you've had, and now CEO of Profamed, it's really, really commendable. So congratulations on that. And I don't know, is Dr. Carol online yet?
I am, yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know that you're not showing on my panel. Please, do you tell
Does
us more
everyone else see
about
me?
yourself? Go on, Sarah.
As I've just been sitting here like an ornament. Okay, cool. Yeah. So for me, I mean, I would consider, you know, that my biotech career is fairly young. So growing up, I, like many of you, have wanted to contribute positively to the world. And for me, it was especially true for the animal kingdom. So, I mean, I had hopes and dreams, but naturally, as you get older, life happens. And yeah, it was easy to forget those. So fast forward a few years, I completed my PhD in 2020, and so began a research position in the same lab. One thing that struck me during that time was that the extensive research and sort of, you know, arduous journey of a PhD seemed really anticlimactic, like when you don't actually get to see its applications in the world. So eventually we were actually fortuitously approached by investors to commercialize some of the research that was emanating from our lab. And so, yeah, in the late 2021, my ex-PhD supervisor and I began spinning out of the University of Cape Town. And so Mary Health Solutions was born. So I would say for me, this is probably one of my greatest achievements, because it's not only, you know, proving to myself that with drive and passion, we as researchers can be part of the process of seeing our work used in the world in some way, shape, or form. But it also provides, you know, one of the many examples to young researchers that academia is just, it's not the final thing, you know, it's not the end of the road. And so, yeah, I really believe that I've grown a lot through this process, and I've been challenged in so many ways and been able to experience so many things that I wouldn't normally be able to experience. So for me, it's been really, really, really rewarding and fulfilling. And I mean, I don't loathe waking up on a Monday to do work. So for me, that is an achievement, is to have job satisfaction. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Carol, or Dr. Carol. Oh, I know we've spoken about how we sometimes shy away from these accomplishments that also come with our titles. But we're gonna use them today. We're gonna give all honor to where honor is due. And I'll hand over now to my co-host to take us on through the next couple of questions.
Yeah, thank you, Adrian. It's really amazing to hear all the nice, the achievements of our panelists today. And I think it's commendable. And all the three of them, they are now considered, trailblazers. They are setting role models for the younger generation, getting into that field of biotechnology. I myself, early on in my career, I was called upon to take some difficult decisions, and there was not really anyone I could look up to and say who was in a similar situation as me, and I could say, yes, that could be an inspiration for me to get into the biotech sector. And nowadays, however, things have changed, and we see that around it's reported as 49% of total employees in biotechnology are women, which is wonderful. Yes, it's growing. However, only 23% of biotech CEOs are women. So I guess my question to the panel would be, you are the role models today to the young women getting into this career. What do you think would be the advice that you could offer them, to maybe lose that inhibition, to make the leap between just being an employee of the biotech and to be a C-level executive, probably to take risks, to become entrepreneurs, and to, take higher level posts. So what would be your advice to them? I would probably start with Dr. Gombe, if you could tell us what you think you could advise the young generation today.
Sure, thanks, Dr. Fowler. I think one of the important things is mentorship. And I'd like to touch a bit on mentorship, because we normally, as a young person, many young people don't naturally think about finding themselves mentors and finding mentors in a variety of areas. It may not necessarily be in the science field, it may be in other fields or other areas where they might need a little bit of guidance in terms of finding their way. And finding ways to get information or to tap into experience that is available to them, or that could be available to them. I think one thing I'd advise young people is to gain the confidence to identify the kind of people that you would want to mentor you. And it's sometimes an issue of confidence and an issue of encouraging them to say, don't be afraid of people, approach them. They will not know until you've approached them, and you will not know what their response is until you've approached them. And many people are willing to help and are willing to give time towards mentoring young people. So the one thing I think that is very important is identify areas where you need mentorship, and identify people that you think could mentor you well in that area. And don't get discouraged if someone that you've approached says, well, I don't have time. Try again and continue in that way. The second aspect is, I find some of us gain the confidence and wait before we start initiatives. We want to reach a certain level in a company, or we want to be, have all this education first, or have done all these things first before we feel, oh, we can actually step out and do this. It's never too early to actually test and try to be an entrepreneur if that's what really interests you. Don't wait necessarily for the right time to jump. Any time is the right time to jump. Yes, there is some preparations that you might need to do, but it's something that can be done at any time in your career, and don't be afraid to branch out. If you feel you've got all the tools, or not even all the tools, but if you feel you've got sufficient tools for you to venture out. But I do think that approaching people who have who have walked the route before, just to get their stories, hear their stories. What were their pitfalls? Where did they go to find things like funding or other resources, and to do that kind of legwork where people have gone that route before you would be really helpful. And that would be what I would advise them to do.
That's great advice, Dr. Gumbi. Yes, definitely. I would probably invite the other panelists as well to pitch in if they have new ideas on this. Perhaps Dr. Carol?
Yeah, sure. So just to add to Dr. Gumbi's points, I mean, what goes hand in hand with, seeking mentorship is also allowing yourself to be teachable. One of the things I believe is to always maintain a curiosity about the world around you. And with biotech, it's an ever-changing industry. So you're never going to know it all. You could spend your life studying and learning, and it's still not going to be nearly enough. So yeah, for me, it's definitely being a teachable person. But then when you get to that point of having learned stuff, is to also then, mentor others, is to give back and mentor younger women to also, come into the industry and engage with other people as well. I mean, I feel like sometimes, at least from my experience, it's been very difficult to find female mentors who are willing to give me the time of day. So a lot of the time in my studies, I've actually predominantly had male mentors, which is sad. But I believe it's really something that we as women can actually shift if we're mindful enough about it. So yeah, that's my take.
Thank you, Dr. Carol. And you're very right. Mentors are quite hard to find. I'm so sorry. A bit of noise on the background. It's my little son.
Fully understand being a mother.
Yes.
I apologize. We might get some screaming at the moment. Well, it comes, with my responsibilities. So I wanted to continue on this point that Dr. Carol made about mentorship. It's quite hard to find women mentors nowadays. I don't know if it's because of historical disparities or what could we do to, encourage women to be, willing to be mentors to others. So probably Dr. Alama, if you would like to share your views on that, probably.
Yes. The thing is to believe self and to work
I believe Dr. Alama's connectivity is
Yes.
What I see is it will be good for some girl, because if I can't, just men can, and I think that we need to explain to women, young women especially, by promoting formal first for mentorship, and they have to learn that we are here to complete men in professional, not to take their place, and they can take our place. We need to work here. They have to work in their self-confidence, and we have no time to start. We can start any time when we feel confident.
Thank you, Dr. Alama. I think that can take us now to the next segment of our discussion today, where we'd like to really delve into overcoming challenges and breaking barriers. And I think we could ask today our panelists to share their personal experiences in engage and tell us how they have overcome challenges, in especially challenges faced by women in the biotech field. And what we've recently heard, read also, is that the gender equality is really stalling, and closing the gap is estimated to take about 130 years. And I'm not going to be here to see that probably. And I believe that to change that mentality, there's a lot to be done from the society perspective. A lot of times when women go for interviews, they are often asked, how do you balance your personal life with your professional commitments? And I believe that those questions shouldn't be asked, because they're not asked to a man who goes for the interview either. So I would like to ask my question to either of you, any of the panelists, whether you have found yourself in this situation where you had to commit to additional professional commitments, tasks, and what sort of support system was available to you, or you could tap into, that helped you commit to these achievements and fulfill the requirements of these commitments. Anyone can pitch in in that discussion. Maybe Dr. Gumby, if you'd like.
Let me make an attempt. So, when you're passionate about what you're doing, that's a huge motivator. Needs to be done, and the work that needs to be, to reach your goal or reach your or whatever objective. So the challenges are extremely frustrating, because you feel that as a woman, there's so many more loops that you have to jump through in order to get to the ultimate prize or goal that you're trying to reach. But you keep jumping through the hoops because you realize that if you don't and you give up, giving up is not an option. And that's what keeps one going. But you realize that you have to put in a lot more effort to get what you want to achieve at the end of the day than perhaps male counterparts and the like. And also you're judged, through the lens of a woman, and you think to yourself, well, if I was a male, you wouldn't be asking me this question, or you wouldn't be requiring so much information. What will it take for you to trust me that I will achieve what I say I will achieve? And so, you do feel that, there's a lot of a level of distrust, or a level of having to prove yourself a lot more. But if you don't do it, and if you don't go through all this, what are you going to, it's almost like failing yourself. And so you just keep going, hoping that with time, things will be easier for those that, follow your footsteps. But try that, but you have to do it, and you have to try in order to succeed, because you have that goal that keeps driving you to see this through. Yes, it's unfair. Yes, it can be frustrating. But, you pick yourself up and you continue, trying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
correct. I don't know if my fellow panelists have got the same experiences. I hope not. I hope it's different.
Let's hear from them.
I think for me anyway, to add to Dr. Gumbi's point, I don't have children or a family, but in terms of, being taken seriously in the industry, it has been difficult. My personality lends itself to being very friendly and outgoing, and some consider it ditzy. But, I've even been told that, oh yeah, you're surprisingly smart. And the frustrating part also comes in when you know what should be done and no one's actually listening to you. So it is a case of having to try and actually make yourself heard. And yeah, it can be very frustrating. And I think that's just something that we've having to, as women, having to learn is to be more and more resilient and, need I say the word, but pushy, because for want of a better word, what else are we supposed to do if we're not going to be listened to in a room? We just happen to be a tick box or a check box because we're a woman, and they need that on the team. So for me, it's about really asserting your own knowledge and your own place there.
Correct. That's very true.
One of the frustrations is that the people that you're dealing with actually probably don't realize what they're doing and don't realize the hoops they're, all these hurdles that they're placing. They're probably, it's an unconscious thing that you keep having to fight and confront all the time.
Yeah, and sometimes I believe that it comes from us as well, because probably we've been given a seat at the table and we have to work 2-3 times harder to prove that we deserve this seat, we are competent, we can do it, whereas your male counterpart sitting next to you who's just sat there and being able to just do the job, and you having to put in 3 times the effort. And it's kind of unfair, you have been given a seat, but you have to work 3 times harder to prove yourself.
And I just wanted to add that Dr. Shamim Fowler, I think what is happening right now is very much our reality, right? You are there trying to host this panel and you are so focused. I don't know how you're even doing it.
I have my child screaming around me at the moment.
It's one of those days.
Juggling acts that we go through as women all the time, right? We have to juggle family, we have to juggle careers, and we have to juggle proving ourselves. We have to juggle all these other multiple things that are expected of us as women, because just because you're a CEO doesn't now mean, okay, you have to close all the other chapters of your life. So I think for me, what works best is a bit more compassion towards myself. I tend to, if I have to do what you're doing now, I am like, it's okay. Like I can only do the best that I can within this situation. And of course, I also let other people see my reality, because I think sometimes we women try to hide all the things that we are juggling and try to put on this superhuman facade. It's not real. It's not our reality. But I think as much as we start letting people see what we have to do to be who we have to be, it will bring more compassion and maybe more resources to support us. So I think there's a need for vulnerability. There's a need for more compassion towards ourselves and to, pick our battles, but of course excel where you have to show up, you show up and you excel. But at the end of the day, just know that as a woman, you're doing fantastic. Just being you and doing all the things that you do. So that will be my points on this issue here. So any of the young ladies on online, it's let people see you as a woman and then excel, but don't hide the other things that you have to do. Don't try to be the man. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's quite right.
What I've been very fortunate in is that there have been other women leaders that have gone ahead of me, and I'm finding that I've actually made a lot of good progress and strides because other women have supported me. And I've really had tremendous support from other women who are older than myself and who have walked the path that I'm walking and received more support from them, which has been very encouraging, which means also I do the same to those who are coming through walking the same path that I've walked. And I think that will hopefully start to make things a little bit better, a little bit easier, and start to change things for biotech women entrepreneurs.
Right. So I think it will be great if we move to the third segment of our conversation, which is looking at the industry, the biotech industry as a catalyst for gender equality. So we'll just take the next 10 minutes to engage around how biotech innovative solutions can address gender-related challenges. I saw someone in the chat made mention of that, rightfully so. You know, how biotech innovation is addressing women health issues, how biotech innovation is enabling agricultural production and empowering women who have, in Africa at least, traditionally been at the backbone of our agricultural industry. So I'll just like to throw it. It's an open question to the panel. Maybe let's be specific, and you can also talk about the specific industry or sector in which you are operating. What are some of the examples of biotech that have addressed that innovations have or have the potential to address gender-specific either health issues or societal challenges?
Maybe just to kick off on that question, Adrienne, I mentioned earlier that we introduced a herbal product scientifically tested. We're just about to go into phase 2 clinical trials. It targets gut health. And it's interesting that many of the gut health problems are experienced by women. So it gives me greater satisfaction that whilst the product can be used by both men and women, the greater a market that it provides a solution to is actually females. And that, knowing that, really encourages me to do a lot more in terms of how do we make the product available to the target market, which is women between the ages of about 30 all the way about 60. And that it alleviates a lot of the gut health problems in women. I think for me is the greatest achievement and outcome of the work that we've been doing. It was not the intention in the beginning. The intention was to provide a solution for many gut health problems such as diarrhea, constipation, bowel movement, and the like. And it was even, I guess, a greater finding that the product actually serves more the women issues on gut health and assist them in that regard. So where we are able to provide a solution in an area that really needs that solution has been quite fulfilling and rewarding. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bumbi. And I would imagine that gut health, I mean, when your gut is not healthy, that accounts for days off, that accounts for other complications along in health. And so helping to bring about health specifically to an issue that affects more women than men, I think rightfully so. And this is just an example, because I'm sure if we look in the medical field and other biotech innovations that address women-specific issues, we can see how that then empowers women to be more healthy, more productive, to show up in society, and definitely helps to close that gap. I'll ask also maybe Dr. Carol to pitch in, seeing that she's coming in from a different industry, so to speak.
Okay. Well, so to be honest, I'm not entirely aware of biotech specific innovations in aquaculture that is actually sort of changing and or being directed towards females specifically. But I am aware that obviously, as Dr. Gumby is talking about nutrition and gut health, a lot of communities across Africa are, as you were saying, Adrian, are obviously females are like the backbone of those communities and of aquaculture specifically. And so from what I've read very briefly, there are new sort of initiatives taking place where with the fishing that's being done and sort of the culturing of fish, a lot of that is being focused on actually using the whole fish, as well as, developing these sort of feed additives for consumption for women who are pregnant, we have babies, because it's obviously very high in omega-3s and 6s, which is good for cognitive development, and obviously the health of the mother. So that's just one from that side. But just from a sort of an omics perspective, transcriptomics is becoming quite a big thing in terms of tackling, infertility issues in women. But also tissue engineering has been, something quite amazing with organoids. So researchers are obviously now focusing on developing, uterus to what's the plural of that? I don't know what the plural is. Excuse me. But they are using this sort of system to actually find ways to solve problems related to female infertility. So that's some of the things that I've sort of been tapping into just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to back you up on that one, we're seeing that this issue of, there has been a lot of neglect around women's health in research. And in the late, at least I have also been following that trend and that conversation the last few years. There's more attention now to develop solutions, and biotech is pioneering in that space around women's, be it infertility challenges, be it enabling women to take control of their own reproductive health, and with evidence-backed solutions, the inclusion of women in clinical trials, so that when those products are taken by women, don't on unwanted side effects. And yeah, it's all progress that is being made, and I think it will down the line help to balance how women show up in society, how we contribute in society day to day, because these are daily issues. If you can't show up at work because you're struggling with some uh, disease or ill health, it's a problem. And also to your point, Sarah, when you empower women with education or agricultural innovation, and you allow them to get economically empowered by, having a more sustainable form of agriculture, and, feeding their communities. Again, we can see how that trickles down to feed into this whole gender equality agenda. I know, Dr. Fowler, I would really love to get your input on this, because I know you work in the nutraceuticals, cosmeceuticals space. I'm
Yes.
sure some good examples there.
Yes, indeed, there are some good examples there, but I wanted to touch on the female breast cancer problem, whereby we have really done big advancements in terms of the new treatment options for women, whereby there is better prognosis and fewer side effects, with personalized treatment, targeted therapies, whereby the woman can go back to her normal self, if I may say so, where she can get back into the workforce, be back to her normal life, and lead a rather normal life after treatment in that particular area. So a lot of advancement has been done in that field, whereby early detection, early treatment options, and multiple treatment options can help the woman get back into the workforce, get back on her feet, and carry on with her career. And on the nutraceuticals and cosmeceuticals side of things, yes, we have a lot of development being done, and some of our products are targeted towards women, especially female hormone imbalance, where we're doing a lot of studies trying to find natural remedies, natural plant-derived nutraceuticals and food supplements to help with hormonal balance in women. So yes, definitely in that space we are really looking into it. I personally am working on trying to identify novel formulations with the team, actually, to help women for these kinds of ailments.
Thank you so much. I'd like to take some questions if there are any from our audience. We will have a few questions if there are. So we had a question around application to women's health, agriculture, which we addressed. I don't know if there are any other questions or comments from the audience. Feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question for any of our panelists. If there are no questions, or while we are waiting for those questions, I'm wondering to our panelists, we've talked about the inequality gap, gender inequality. And I'm wondering what can anyone define the gaps? What should we be prioritizing if we are trying to close the gap between the male and the female, be it in society or be it in the biotech industry or leadership, whichever way you would like to focus this. Okay, so just a moment while you're thinking on that, I just want to read a comment in the chat. A lot of men, including myself, are very keen for us to achieve gender equity across our industry and society for that matter. I would really be interested to hear from the panelists and hosts on one thing they wish their male colleagues will do or maybe not do to support this goal of gender equity. So I think we were thinking the same. So yes, I'll let, I don't know, Dr. Alama, do you want to go first?
Let's Dr. Gombe go first.
Yeah, Dr. Gombe?
So I think the first part is attitude. And it's a very difficult one because people don't see it in themselves that they are imposing aspects of inequality or judging women from a different perspective. And it's an attitude of or the awareness to say to yourself, am I being fair in this discussion, or am I being fair in this situation, or am I judging the situation from a fair perspective? That would, for me, that's where it starts, because then your access to the resources that you need, your access in terms of negotiations that you need to go through, your approach to decisions and discussions really all stem from an aspect of an open mind and ensuring that how you're looking or approaching a situation is from a fair base and a fair perspective. So decisions on funding, decisions on access to resources, decisions when you have to negotiate pricing and the like, decisions on having to negotiate access to capital and so on and so forth. All of that is really about how the attitude that you have towards women, and ensuring that whatever you do makes it easier for women to be on those platforms and to navigate what they need to navigate.
Thank you, Dr. Gumbi. For the interest of time, I'll just take this other last question from the audience, and I will address that to Dr. Carol. Do you feel like we are getting closer to closing the gaps when it comes to gender equality?
I think there are definitely initiatives out there that are working hard towards doing so. But I mean, like, I think one of the things that maybe wasn't necessarily addressed in this discussion is that, behind the scenes of, biotech companies, and you don't really talk about the boards and board of directors. And usually when you think a board of directors is just, it's a man in a suit, right? And I think for me, from that perspective, I think, with biotech companies or the biotech industry having at least 50% women, it's really surprising, at least in, for example, the US, to find that, only 30% of executive positions are actually filled by women. And so if you're having a company that's already got quite a decent, proportion of women working there, how are you effectively representing them? So for me, it also is in the behind the scenes that really need to change. It's not only just hiring women all the time. It's also, what about the governance at the governance level? So for me, that's also something that's, I believe needs, substantial addressing. But I just wanted to say, to the point in the comments that was asked in the comment section about, what can, our male counterparts do to support. I think one of the things for me would be to actually listen to us. You want to work in a team, you want to develop and evolve as a human and as a species. Listen to us, don't cut us off. Like, that irks me to no end. If someone cuts me off, it is like, that is just damn rude, and I can't stand that. So for me, it's just give a woman a space to speak, because she does actually have something valuable to say. You have on the team for a reason. So yeah, okay, that's, I could rant and rave if I wanted to, but I'm just gonna stop.
I'm sure we can all relate, Dr. Sarah. So we have 2 minutes to go, and I just wanted to round up with this thought. We've touched on critical points regarding gender equality in the biotech sector. It is evident that challenges persist, be it in access to resources, in work-life balance, and mentorship. And the insights that we've shared today underscore the importance of addressing these issues. And in line with this, we decided before this call to propose launching as a call to action from this conversation, because we really don't know the extent of the impact of all of these inequalities in the African biotech industry specifically. We propose launching a comprehensive study on gender inequality gaps in the African biotech landscape. This study could encompass a detailed survey examining the impact of existing challenges and the potential solutions that could drive tangible change. So we would put out this call of action officially, and also give more detail, but we think that there's a need to really with scrutiny examine what specifically women in the African biotech landscape have or encounter or deal with as inequalities in terms of that are due to our being women. So we would be putting that out. So I want to take the last minute just to thank Dr. Gumbi, Dr. Carol, Dr. Elmedi, and also my co-host, Dr. Fowler, for joining me on this panel. It was really, really insightful. I'm sure that all the other ladies who have been in the audience and the gentlemen have learned incredibly from your insights and experiences. So thank you so much for taking the time. And thank you, everyone. Please note that we are having BioAfrica Convention that will be happening from the 1st to the 6th of September this year. If you haven't yet registered, check out the BioAfrica Convention website that will be communicated on social media. And register. There's still time to do so. And typically BioAfrica has supported women representatives. It has always had over 50% women in the program itself, content issues, speakers, delegates, and other strategic matters. So we are quite happy of that view from BioAfrica. So thank you for joining us. This was great. Until next time, stay well. Bye-bye.
Bye.